The Clone Wars may have finished, but I'm still watching the show for the first time, and now I'm back to talk about Season 1. Come with me on my journey as I watch through Clone Wars for the first time. Well, hello there! My name's Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney, where I talk about all aspects of Disney, from the animated movies to the theme parks to Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar, and the TV shows, and everything else in between. And that is why it's Freeform. And keep coming back every day for new daily content. If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Now on to today's topic, Clone Wars Season 1. I'm back! And I've finished watching Season 1. Now, this isn't the first video, as I'm watching in chronological order, so the movie and a few other episodes come before the true start of Season 1. Now, if you haven't seen that video, there's a link in the top right corner or down below in the description. Are you still here? Or maybe you just made it back? Well, are you ready? Let's talk about Season 1. Now, one quick note before I launch into hyperspace. There's a lot to unpack here. And it's actually going to take me 2 videos. So I'm going to put up this video this week, and then I'll have another one next week with the second half of my journey through Season 1. Onward! Quick general impressions of the season first. I found Season 1 to be quite watchable. Yes, there were certainly a couple episodes that weren't that good. And then there were some episodes that were better than anything I'd hoped to find in Season 1. Overall, the quality was higher than I had expected, and I was quite relieved to find that to be the case. And if it only gets better from here, that is definitely music to my ears. Looking forward to it. Let's jump on in now. Episode 1. That's Ambush. This is a big Yoda episode, which, on the face of it, sounds like a really cool idea. And if you remember from my first video, I was hoping to see the King of the Toydarians back again. And hey, he's back too. And we've got Ventress in here. We've got Dooku popping in. I mean, this all sounds like great stuff. Well, it didn't quite work that well, though, in execution. And I was really sad about that, considering the characters that were present. So why did it disappoint me? Well, first off, the droids. The droids really get to be a little bit annoying to keep listening to. They are anything but the highlight to listen to the dumb droids keep talking and making remarks that are not that great. That's too bad. And then also, apparently the big droids talk too. So it's not even just the battle droids. It's all of them. And that's not an improvement. But there were good elements in there too. I mean, I did like some of Yoda. That's definitely for sure. And I did like some of Ventress, some of Dooku popping in, some of the King of the Toydarians. I also do have this weird question. Why do we keep wasting such time with groups of like 6-ish droids when Yoda could easily just wipe out 6 battle droids? That's not a problem. Really, I guess one of the other problems in the end really is just, I don't know what the point of the episode was. It seemed like we wanted to make this big adventure from point A to point B and use Yoda and the clones as our guides, and it just didn't come together for me, and oh well. I look forward to seeing Yoda in a better capacity in the future, and I know we'll see some of the others at other points in the timeline, as we've already seen Ventress and Dooku, and even the King of the Toydarians in much better lights already, chronologically within the show. Okay, let's move on to the Malevolence arc, and this is certainly much better. So the Malevolence arc is a set of 3 episodes, Episodes 2, 3, and 4 of Season 1, that deal with this big new secret ship that has this really cool ion cannon going on the side of it, called the Malevolence. And Grievous is piloting the Malevolence and testing it out and starting to wipe out different Republic fleets with it. And so it's this continuing menace. We open up on Plo Koon, which I love getting to see some of the different Jedi, and this is another chance to see one more of our big Jedi masters. And he really gets a big focus here. Although I do have to admit he's kind of Mr. Listen to me, I am full of deep cliches. But even so, Plo Koon's still cool. Oh, Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship off the bat. Loved the echoes of Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship. And it was really neat to see the differences in there too. And then Anakin's ship that they go out in, that's an interesting ship. I'm not used to it. I expect I'll probably get a lot more used to it by the end of the show. Other neat little things, I love the Empire-like uniform. So the little pieces that are just bridging the gap over to the Empire as a full already. I thought it was a really intriguing and nice way of telling something about Plo Koon's character when we get the line from the clones of, "We're just clones, sir. We're meant to be expendable. Not to me." And actually, it also tells you a good bit about the clones, too. And I feel these are themes we're going to keep playing on as we go, as we also touched a little on it earlier. So I'm hoping we keep diving deeper into these issues about clones and their expendability and the ethical implications that all of that happens to go into. And to be fair, this is actually my favorite part of the 3-episode arc of Malevolence. They're all pretty decent episodes. It's a good arc. This is actually the best, and I think a lot of it helps with Anakin and Ahsoka in there and their relationship playing, and also Plo Koon's piece in here. Those 3 characters right there play a lot into how good that episode is. So then we get into Shadow of Malevolence, and then we've got to go stop the Malevolence because it's about to go destroy a hospital, a clone hospital. And we see Anakin lead by example, and we find out apparently that droids are really expensive. How dare you, Grievous? How dare you go knock that droid's head off? Yeah, don't worry, he'll kill some more later. And because of his poor generaling, we kind of lose an entire ship full of droids, so expense is not exactly Grievous's main concern, shall we say. It was neat seeing Anakin lead Shadow Squadron, getting some piloting going on. Got to see Ahsoka get a little of her own when she went ahead and saved the day in the end. And actually, I was impressed by a choice at the end where Anakin actually is taken out of the last bit of the episode because he takes out the weapon, and then Obi-Wan actually comes in with his fleet to finish off the Malevolence. Rather than what might be a little more cliche of having Anakin rise back to the occasion and help finish off the Malevolence, the show actually made the better choice and let it be another character who went ahead and did the job. That was nice. Nice touch. Oh, I kind of wondered, is from a certain point of view like a Jedi inside joke? And that's where the idea of where we get it from later on? Being that Plo Koon says it to Ahsoka here in this episode. Otherwise, I don't think we've seen it really outside of Obi-Wan using the line. So that's interesting. Okay, destroy Malevolence, the finale of the arc. Because destroying the weapon didn't destroy the ship, we had to go ahead and go another episode in to go finish that off. So I'll admit off the bat, our use of Padme at the beginning of the episode, not the greatest. Essentially, we tossed her in here for kind of cheap reason, just to go get her trapped. Although, at least we don't really make her a damsel in distress, per se. Although, Anakin and Obi-Wan rush into the ship to save her. But this is Padme, so at least she can do a bit on her own. Some more Obi-Wan to Anakin. Anakin, you're crazy. Spinning is not flying. But it's a good trick. Good little episode 1 reference. Some good interactions between Anakin and Padme in there. I've got to tell you, Jedi should really learn to encrypt their comms so they can't just have droids monitor in on them. Maybe use some different frequencies. Might be a good idea. They should look into that. Oh, and with how easy Obi-Wan dispatches the destroyer droids just with a nice force shove, you gotta wonder, why didn't Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan do that in episode 1? Would have been a lot easier right there. Just do a nice force shove of the droids. Boom. Done. We continue onward. We don't have to go down to the planet, do all that. We take care of the whole blockade far quicker and more easily. Of course, I suppose then episode 1 doesn't really happen. There's a little more. We'll say the Force willed them to go down to the planet so they could find Anakin by going to another planet on Tatooine. You get what I'm saying. Oh, one last fun little note on there. I loved when Padme goes to use the gun in Anakin's ship near the end of the episode. Obi-Wan's little line of, "She certainly seems to know her way around." You should never expect Obi-Wan not to be aware of what's really going on. After all, he and Anakin spent enough time together. He knows Anakin well enough. I think he catches on. So yeah, this was a good arc. I still like the Christophsis arc better. And then we move onward next to Rookies, episode 5. And this was a good one. Really liked this. It doesn't actually really have any of our main characters. except for the really tiny parts, but they're not part of the main episode. Unless we count Rex as a main character, and I suppose Rex is becoming a bigger character, so maybe he should be counted that way. And Commander Cody's in there too. I love the world building when we talk about the intensity of war leading to many of the clones not getting fully trained and being put into service elsewhere, or like these jobs for the ones that just didn't turn out quite as well. I love the Empire look to the facility. I love the little quick A New Hope reference. CT-327, CT-327, report in. Now, I admit sometimes the references get a little too much and they're a little too heavy-handed, and sometimes they really work for me. That probably shifts between person to person as to which ones work better for you and which ones don't, but I like a good number of them. Well, no, not all. We introduced these new commando droids, which were fast and crazy and yet still dumb as hell as droids seem to be. I gotta say, if you're gonna make these new commando droids, hey, give them a little more intelligence. I think I'd go that route. Of course, then I think the clones would be in trouble. And thank goodness, the droids are really bad shots. I think our episode would have gone really differently if they had a little bit better firepower. And Heavy Sacrifice, while sad, was definitely nicely done. Loved Heavy Sacrifice. It was really good. And again, that's what really made this episode. Characters we didn't know with Fives, Heavy, and Echo, but we got to know them, and it was their interplay, and even then, the interplay between them and both Cody and Rex in the episode. And that's what made this really good and really enjoyable. Okay, it had to come here at some point. We've got to go talk about two of the lesser episodes of the season. It's a two-parter, Downfall of a Droid and Duel of the Droids. Sorry, but to say off the bat, these were not that good. I wish they were. I liked the beginning of Downfall of a Droid. With our battle between Grievous's fleet and Anakin's fleet, that was fun. Enjoyed that. Although then, near the end of the battle, we see Grievous make his second abandoned ship moment for the series and flee. And to be honest, when I saw that, I started worrying to myself, I'm going, oh, this is going to be a bit of a common cliche event. And he does it in the second half as well, so I think my worries are confirmed. Gotta find a better way to do that if you want to keep having Grievous escape. Gotta find something else than the same over and over cliche runaway escape. Okay, so most of this episode ends up being a Rescue R2 episode, and that's really what the 2-episode arc is. And that's because after the battle, Anakin's ship is damaged, he's chasing after Grievous, and eventually it just goes completely out. And so Anakin gets rescued, but R2's not there. This leads to us bringing in R3. And R3 does all kinds of crazy, incompetent things, like accidentally turning on assassin droids when they're looking for R2, and all kinds of other problems, to where I'm like, oh my word, I mean, he better be due to Grievous, and I can't imagine how it's not. And then the episode comes to an end, and we haven't revealed that that is the case, and I'm going, You're kidding me. You're not really telling me it would be that. Yikes. Of course, in the end, yes, R3 was most certainly being controlled by Grievous. How none of our characters could have enough of a problem so as to not use R3 anymore? It stretches beyond the believing point for me. Gotta be quite honest. I just can't believe that. There was some nice command moments from Ahsoka during the episode, though. I will grant that, and I did appreciate that. One last teensy negative note. The R2-R3 fight that we had at the end of the thing seemed like this epic battle between R2 and R3. For me, it ended up really underwhelming. It just didn't work for me. For some people, it might have. Me, it didn't. So, that was that 2-episode arc. I wish I had liked it more, but I gotta be honest, I didn't. And in case one thought that was as bad as it gets for the season, well, no, that's not it. As bad as it gets for the season is the next episode, episode 8, Bombad Jedi. I know I got the warnings about how bad some of the Jar Jar episodes could be. Well, yeah. To be honest, I thought it was pretty much a complete waste of an episode. If you are watching Clone Wars, just skip Bombad Jedi. Although maybe you really like it. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who love it too, so don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that. And that's really as much as I feel like talking about Bombad Jedi. It's a horrendous, horrendous mess, and I'm not going to go and waste your time with talking more about it. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. Episode 9, Cloak of Darkness. Okay. That metaphor could have worked a little better if the episode title wasn't Cloak of Darkness, I suppose. Maybe if it had been like Cloak of Light. That didn't work out for me, though. But this one, definitely much better. So Viceroy Gunray was actually arrested at the end of the previous episode, and now he's being escorted to Coruscant. And so this is a nice episode with Ahsoka in it, and we also get to look at Jedi Master Luminara and Dooley, and their interactions are a ton of fun, and guess who pops up? It's Ventress! Which means we get some really nice lightsaber duel fights in there. And so those are really the big points. The points are the lightsaber duel fights, it's some of the interactions getting to see Ahsoka, a couple other things that I thought were interesting. Ahsoka called Ventress a bog witch in there, which just, in my head, I've read EU books, a number of them, so that just makes me go, bog witch, is she like a witch from Dathomir or something of that nature? I mean, I could definitely see something like that as a possibility for where we're going with Ventress. Oh, I do have to say, the whole traitor piece, a little bit obvious, especially from how the conversations were going, but that doesn't mean I didn't like it. I thought it worked well enough. Although, I will say Ventress killing the traitor, a little cliche, not a great choice. But, I mean, it was a good episode overall. I liked the new Jedi Master, and I definitely enjoyed the lightsaber duels. Onward to the next episode, Lair of Grievous. So Lair of Grievous kind of extends the previous episode's arc with Viceroy Gunray, but really it only uses enough to set up the course of the episode, because Viceroy Gunray escaped at the end of Cloak of Darkness, and now we're trying to go ahead and find where he went to before he gets so far away we can't recatch him again. And we're not focused on any of the people we used to know well. Now we're off to Kit Fisto and actually his old Padawan, now a Jedi Knight, Nadar, who, by the way, is a Mon Calamari, and that's cool too. Now, going into Lair of Grievous, it's got this real horror setup, which actually was really nicely done. It's different than the feel of all the episodes prior to that, and that was cool. I was impressed that we went for such a different feel. I thought the idea of Dooku setting up a trap for Grievous, giving Grievous's previous failures, was a nice idea as well, and made sense. I could see Dooku do something like that. And really, of course, Dooku's not necessarily hoping for Grievous to lose. I mean, if Grievous wins, well, that proves his worth. And then as we're going through there, we get a whole bunch of different lore expansion. We get to see those different statues of the different warriors down there, so that's really neat as well. Love the expansion of the lore. I admit some of it's more hinted at, but I expect we'll probably dive more into some of this lore as we go on. Nadar gets the bad feeling line in this one, because it's been a theme we've done a few times, and I imagine we're going to do it a lot through the course of the show. And it worked well when he gave it there. I liked the Dr. Droid with Grievous. We got an interesting bit of conversation between them, where the Dr. Droid was wondering why Grievous submitted to the changes, i.e. made himself more droid-like. And Grievous responds to him that he didn't submit, he chose, because they were upgrades. And that just gives you this little piece of insight into Grievous and who he is, which is hard to do often just because of the way the show deals with Grievous as an antagonist means Grievous often doesn't have anyone to really talk to help get these insights into his character. After all, he's not going to go talk to a battle droid about why he made those choices. Now, there were some great fights over the course of that episode. Really enjoyable. The atmosphere was enjoyable. It was great to get to go ahead and see Kit Fisto. I love Kit Fisto. Always one of my favorite Jedi that we just didn't get to see much of during the movies. And I'll say Nadar's death was definitely predictable in there. And really, I wish we could have seen more of him as a character. He was really intriguing. Ultimately, very nice episode. One of the best episodes of the season was Lair of Grievous. And for a few reasons, all the lore that was in there, the fights were done well, the characterization was done well, the atmosphere of the episode. So really nicely done. Love that one. And really, this seems like a good spot to go ahead and pause. So there you have it. That's my first half of my journey through Season 1. I'm going to talk about some of my overall thoughts for Season 1 at the end of the next video. So go ahead and look forward to that coming next week. Come on back here for that one. And just for a preview, some of the best of Season 1 is still yet to come. So what about you? What were your first impressions of Clone Wars? Let me know down below in the comments. And of course, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, share it with anyone else who will too. And I'll see you back here tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. And if you haven't done it yet, click the subscribe button and ring that bell. Have a magical day, and may the Force be with you. Always.